Coming up here on the Raiders Report, are the Las Vegas Raiders going to trade for Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott? I know. I can't believe I'm talking about it either. The Raiders are meeting with a quarterback this week. I'll tell you who it is. And then, do the Silver and Black have interest in Rosengarten, the offensive tackle from Washington? ESPN has recently linked him to the Silver and Black. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and there is a lot to dive into on today's show. And my goal when I first started the Raiders Report was, if I see a crazy trade idea, if I see a crazy report out there, I'm going to give my 2 cents on it. Chugs and I yesterday on live when we were talking about the Raiders, where people were asking us, could the Raiders trade for Dak Prescott? Maybe it's because Zeno put a video that's got 50K views on TikTok and everyone was talking about it. But today, USA Today put out an article and referencing the Raiders being the team that would be the most interested in Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott if a trade were to end up going down. So my job here as the Raiders Report host is to tell you that the Raiders trading for Dak Prescott is never going to happen. Tuck rule, tuck that. This is zero just win, babies. And I do sometimes get frustrated when I'm forced to talk about things like this, because when so many people ask me about a topic, and I get it, Dak Prescott, big name guy, I get it, the Raiders need a quarterback right now, but in no way, shape, or form does this make any sense for the Silver and Black to trade for this guy. I mean, I know that the Raiders were mentioned as the top destination. Do you want to know why? Because they picked 13. A lot of people do believe that they are a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contending team. Dak Prescott is in the final year of his contract, and if the Silver and Black are so tied in on Jayden Daniels, and the expectation is that that's not going to happen, could the Cowboys, who don't know if they want to pay Dak yet, decide to just trade him away to the Las Vegas Raiders? What USA Today here did is smart on their part, because they took two fan bases, the biggest fan base in the NFL in the Dallas Cowboys, the most passionate fan base in the Raiders. They smushed them together, and people got upset about it and talked about it, because unfortunately, that's the world that we live in sometimes. But I'm telling you right now, trading for Dak Prescott would make the Raiders a playoff caliber team. Like, you can't sit up here and deny that. Dak is an upgrade over Aiden O'Connell. Dak is an upgrade over Gardner Minshew. And he had a hell of a year last year. I mean, you can't say that he didn't. At one point, he was the front runner, I would say, to potentially be the NFL MVP. He had over 4,500 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The problem with Dak, and the problem always with Dak, is that he can't get it done in the playoffs. A 2-5 playoff record. And when it matters the most, Dak and the Cowboys, they struggle. So I knew I had to put this trade up on screen, and I can't wait for somebody to take a screenshot of this, totally ignore that it's from USA Today, and be like, here's this Mitchell Renz guy again getting wild on YouTube. I do get wild on YouTube. Usually that's on Friday happy hour. Tune in 4 p.m. Eastern time. But the Raiders, they get Dak Prescott. The Cowboys receive Aiden O'Connell, 13, 44, and 112. So your first, your second, your fourth round pick this year, a first and a third next year, and then a second round pick in 2026. So my question is, should the Raiders try to trade for Dak Prescott? Give me a yes. Give me a no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, which means you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer of whether or not the Raiders should try to trade for Dak Prescott. No, the Raiders should not try to trade for Dak Prescott. And what I think I'm most excited about that trade is how many people get upset that we're trading away Aiden O'Connell. I mean, at this point, if you're traded for any quarterback, even if you draft a QB, it would not surprise me if the Raiders did try to trade away Aiden O'Connell. But the reason why the Silver and Black and the Raiders in general should never trade for Dak is because if I'm going to take a deal like this, and I'm giving up my entire farm for a quarterback like Prescott, who's 2-5 in the playoffs, I want somebody that I believe can help me win a Super Bowl. And here's the problem. I don't think that Dak Prescott is ever going to win a Super Bowl. I don't believe an NFL team can win a Super Bowl with Dak at the quarterback position. So why am I going to trade all of those picks for somebody that I don't believe at the end of the day is ever going to win a Super Bowl? It's just win, baby. Commitment to excellence, not let's just try to get into the playoffs and then have it all fall apart. I don't want that to happen. I'd rather the Raiders give up all those picks for Jayden Daniels. To me, that has a lot more upside. Then on top of that, not only are you going to have to give up your entire farm, all those picks for Dak, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And Spotrac projects Dak Prescott's next contract to be rolling in at about 4 years, $203 million. So you're looking at just over $50 million. And you know what? Spotrac, I think, is even lowballing him a little bit. There's never going to be a world where I sit up here on this show and I go, the Raiders should give Dak Prescott $50 million a year. What's crazy is I bet you next offseason, if he becomes a free agent, he's going to make $60 million a year. Why? He was once the Cowboys quarterback, and the salary cap, the numbers, quarterback numbers continue to grow and grow and grow. If I don't think that Dak's ever good enough to win a Super Bowl, there's no way in hell I'm giving up all the picks, and there's no way in hell I'm paying him all that money. So should the Raiders do it? No. And here's the thing. I say a lot of times, subscribe for Raiders videos. If you think that the Raiders trading for Dak Prescott is a bad idea, hit that subscribe button. My job here is I see crazy stuff all the time on the internet, and I get it. This is the offseason, right? Like, this is when crazy shit happens. And I love when people ask me questions. But I also am a human being, and I'm also going to give you my honest opinion. Like, would Dak help the Raiders win this season? Yes. But I don't think that Dak Prescott is the answer and ever going to win you a Super Bowl. And if you agree with that, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because if the Raiders ended up making a trade like this, dude, I don't know what I would do. I would be almost just as upset as I was when the Raiders freaking hired Josh the Clown McDaniels. Coming up next here, find out which quarterback the Las Vegas Raiders are meeting with this week, because I'll guarantee you this, 50% of y'all have never heard of him before. I think there's a reason why they're meeting with him. I'll tell you that in just a sec. But today's show sponsor is Game Time, and if you guys are looking for last-minute tickets and the lowest price guaranteed, who out there likes a good deal? I am a king for looking for a good deal. I will spend 10 extra minutes, 20 extra minutes looking, even if I can save an extra $1, $5 out there. It's one of the reasons why I love Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Some of the things that I love about Game Time are the last-minute tickets. I love their flash deals, their zone deals. I love that you can see the views from your seat in the venue. I like that they have event cancellation protection. The all-in prices for me is the absolute game changer, because let's face it, when you're buying tickets to your favorite events, it shouldn't be stressful. So that's why I want you to snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Terms apply again, and if anybody's wondering, Mitch, what's the code? It's CHATSPORTS. If you can't spell it, CHATSPORTS. It's down there below. Also, you're going to be able to find those links for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's episode. But Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theory events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So are the Las Vegas Raiders meeting with a quarterback this week? I'm going to give this one 4 just win babies. I'm going to say believe it, baby. I will admit, when I saw the news come out that the Raiders are meeting with a quarterback, I go, who is this guy? Because I don't really know who he is all that well. I did find out that he has recently played some college football, and we'll talk about where he's playing now, where he played at once. But if you're wondering, Mitch, who are the Raiders meeting with? They are meeting with Kory Curtis. And if you're like me and you're like, who the hell is this guy? Well, he's the quarterback for the Desert Hawks right now. And Curtis stated on social media that he has a private workout with the Raiders on Friday. And according to Curtis himself, he is meeting with 5 other NFL teams out there. The reason why he is getting some of this notoriety and reason why I think some people are picking up the phone and calling him, apparently he looked good at Big 12 Pro Day on March 30th. Now, some of y'all are like, all right, there's got to be more to the story. And I completely agree with you, because I find it very surprising that the Raiders would go out, they would try to target a guy like Curtis before the NFL draft, and maybe they're trying to put him on the practice squad, but even then, quarterback currently for the West Texas Desert Hawks, played college football at Ohio State, never saw the field, also played at Bryant, and also played D2 football in the PSAC at Gannon. He is 6'3", 230 pounds, and based on some of the things that I've seen, he does have a strong arm, right? So he's got a strong arm. He looked good at the Big 12 Pro Day. So, Mitch, why are the Raiders wanting to look at Kory Curtis? Here's my guess. I'm not saying that this is the truth. I'm just taking a guess here. I find it hard to believe that the Raiders are legitimately looking at Kory Curtis and saying, that's a guy I want on my practice squad. I just don't think it's happening. So my guess is because he looked good at Big 12 Pro Day, and I'm guessing other players looked very good at the Big 12 Pro Day as well, who's a quarterback that we might be able to say, hey, you want to come in for a private workout but also it's to look at other players, maybe the wide receiver position. I know the Raiders need to add a little bit more depth at the receiver position. I know they're looking for a DeAndre Carter replacement because of the new kick returner rules. So wouldn't this be an easy way to invite a quarterback and say, we're going to give you a private workout on Friday, when actually they just need a quarterback to throw footballs to the players that they're actually giving a private workout to. Coming up next here, we're going to look at the player that ESPN linked to the Las Vegas Raiders. If you don't know who Rosengarten is, don't worry. I got you covered, though. Every time I say his name, I think of the movie Rosengarten. Can you name that movie? Let me know down below. I know some people that will probably be able to name that movie. It's people that watch this show a lot and people that are a part of the Noti Gang. If you're like, Mitch, what the heck's the Noti Gang? I want to give a shout out to Kenny, John, Big Rock, Rebel, and Adam. These are the people that are not only subscribed to the Raiders Report, but as soon as I drop a video, they take pride in themselves to try to be one of the very first people to comment. It helps out the show. It helps out Jeremy Chugs and I. People ask all the time, Mitch, I can't super chat. How can I support the show? Subscribe, join the Noti Gang, do all the other little things. Comment, like the video. Shout out to the Noti Gang. If you want to see yourself on a future Raider Sports show, join it right now. Let's go to the last story here on the show presented by Game Time. The Las Vegas Raiders should target Roger Rosengarten, the offensive tackle from Washington. This one's for Just Win Babies. Believe it, baby. And I love the fact that ESPN is bringing up this guy because literally Monday on our show, we've laid out a plan if the Raiders wanted to draft Michael Penix Jr. And one of the things that I said was the Raiders might have to start targeting offensive tackles that you could get in round 3, potentially round 4. And ESPN dropped an article on overall team needs leading up to the draft, depth chart holes, and the perfect prospect fits that you can find outside of round 1. Rosengarten was listed as a prospect to fill a need outside of round 1 for the Silver and Black. And the reason why I think that this is very interesting is because think about smoke and fire, right? We say it all the time here. Think about how much smoke there has been around the Raiders in the last week and a half since the NFL owner meetings, which started on March 24th and they ended on the 27th. But how much more smoke has been around the Raiders potentially drafting Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Now, all of a sudden, ESPN is linking the guy that's protected his blind side for the past 2 seasons, the quarterback that helped Washington have the best overall offensive line in the country. Like, I do find it very intriguing to me. And would I be interested in Rosengarten? Yes, I just said Rosengarten. Rosengarten, yes. Why? If you do want to focus on a quarterback in round 1, then you're not going to be able to get a lot of those great offensive tackle prospects we talked about. If you have to trade up, then guess what? You're not probably going to have a second-round pick. You're probably not going to have a third-round pick. Now, to me, he probably goes in round 3 or 4, but this is a prospect that you could potentially put on your offensive line and have him start week 1. I like it a lot. Now, one of the guys that I respect their opinion in the draft world is Lance Zierlein from NFL.com, and this is what he had to say about Rosengarten. A 2-year starter at right tackle for the Huskies, Rosengarten could be an immediate starter at right tackle after not allowing a single sack in his past 1,158 passing downs. So for those of you that watch this show a lot, you've seen this graphic before. These are my top right tackles in the 2024 NFL Draft. I'm a believer that if Las Vegas was smart, they would try to figure out a way to put Dylan Parham at right guard. They'd kick their Munford over to left guard. I think he would just be better over there. And then you find your right tackle in the NFL Draft. To me, I would be okay with every single one of these players, especially if you want to find a lefty quarterback in Penix to protect his blind side. Why not go get this guy? Because these dudes right here, they're going round 1. Guarantee. These guys are all going to go round 1. Maybe one of them slips outside of just round 1. If you can tell me that we can find a potential starting right tackle, maybe right guard even, I do think it's an option to at least throw out there to find a round 3 or round 4. Let's go to Lance Zierlein here again, and he said, 2-year starter with long legs, a physical demeanor, and a limited athletic profile. Rosengarten is smart and uses all the tricks in his bag to make up for his lack of fluidity. His ability to help protect his quarterback in 5-man protections helped to bring the Huskies the Joe Moore Award, given to the top offensive line in college football. But he might be too slow-footed to stay in front of the NFL rushers. He's below average as a bender and still needs to work on his hand placement. But a move inside to guard could give him a better shot at making a roster as a mauler on a physical front. So my question to all of you after hearing some of the things that I have said, the fact that ESPN linked him, Lance Zierlein, his 2 cents on him, should the Raiders target Rosengarten in the NFL draft. I'm saying you're probably going to have to get him round 3, round 4. So either pick 77 or pick 112. I know it's a little bit of discrepancy in there. Maybe it's a trade up from 112 if it's a dude that you really, really, truly want. Give me a D for draft. Give me a P for pass. For me personally, I do think that the value could potentially be there if the Raiders want to either draft a quarterback in round 1, draft a corner in round 1. You can find a reliable offensive tackle prospect somewhere around round 3, round 4. So, yes, I do think that the Raiders should target him and potentially draft him. Like, it's not easy to find somebody that has his experience and his pedigree at this late in the draft. Plus, if the Raiders draft Michael Penix Jr., then this makes even more sense to me. The other thing that I love, and one of the things that Antonio Pierce just keeps on saying over and over and over again this offseason, is they want to have a lot of competition. And, you know, we talk about competition in the quarterback room. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. That's why AP said, if our quarterback room is the most competitive room out of all of them, like, that's not a bad thing. So what if one of the spots right now that people are a little bit concerned about is Thayer Munford? I mean, let's keep it real. What if you had Thayer Munford, Rosengarten battle it out? Winner gets right tackle, loser gets right guard. Like, I don't think that's the worst idea in the world. Again, I still think that you could do other things, but if Rosengarten can be a solid right guard option, and then he could also potentially be a tackle option that you can find in round 3, round 4, I'm on board with it. So again, y'all, these were our Raiders rumors roundup here real quick. The Raiders aren't going to be trading for Dak Prescott. Hate to spoil all your hopes and dreams if you wanted that to happen. The Raiders are meeting with a quarterback, though I think it's more to just get a better look at some other prospects is just my guess there. And then should the Raiders target Rosengarten, the offensive tackle from Washington? Yes, they should. If you made it this far in the video, I salute to all y'all. The real question is, who joined the Noti gang?